Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I have got game 1 of a best of 3. It is a Zerg versus Protoss and I'm super excited to see what these two are going to be throwing out here today. The map is Neoplanet S and down in the bottom left position we've got the red Protoss player from Azubu. It's San. And his opponent spawning up in the top right position. He is the green Zerg from Team Acer, Bly. So these two are going to be battling it out on Neoplanet S, which can sometimes lead to quite short games, mainly due to the fact that taking anything other than your natural base is a little bit awkward, especially for Protoss and Terran players. However, having said that, the pylon is on the low ground. The Forge Fast expansion is super easy to get down on this map because this choke point is not very big at all, and that means two base players from San are really quite likely. Stargates are a good opening as well. There's dead space you can utilize, both coming into the main and coming into the natural base, and it can be a right nightmare, especially if a third's taken too, because any kind of air unit, Phoenix, Oracles, even a Void Ray or two can come in here, then start harassing the third and then come straight to the main, and of course the ground distance to get between those two is absolutely massive. So that's two really big things that I think we could be seeing San try to utilize. Bly here going for a 13 pull, quite early actually, a Forge first coming down from San too. So this just means both players playing it relatively safe, not too sure what their opponent could be about to throw out. But really a big thing is that Bly, he's going to delay his natural base, but will be safe from any kind of cannon rushes that could be occurring due to the fact that the Forge is down there. And if the Forge is down, then yeah, cannons could also be on their way. It's a nice little map to get cannon rushes on, but you can put a pylon back here, put some cannons down and just be like, herpy derp, good luck trying to stop this. And if you don't get your natural down as a Zerg, you've got to take this third really quickly, and as I mentioned, taking a third, not the easiest thing in the world. San going for the pylon block there, knowing that actually Bly could be trying to keep that natural base up, get it down quite early, and try and keep it quite early too. And this is straight away an indicator that your opponent isn't going to be rushing down that third, is that the gas is there. But notice it gets cancelled as soon as the probe leaves. A little bit of mind games coming on here by Bly, and that isn't a bad thing in the slightest, because if you do get those mind games down and the probe isn't quite sure what's happening, could be expecting an early speed timing, therefore it's going to pull back thinking it's done everything it needs to. But Bly is still in a position where he could try and take this really fast third base. He has admittedly got 6 Zerglings out, which is more than the normal. Generally as a Zerg against the Protoss you want to get 2, maybe 4 out, so this 6 is going to be trying to put on a little bit of hurt. But as I mentioned right at the start, this is a narrow entrance into the natural base, and with the cannon already finished up, with the gateway there and the pylon down, these Zerglings will have a tough time trying to poke through. Can just brute force their way in there, but if the cannon's down already, you're going to lose a couple of the minimum, which is never going to be too fun. This probe is going on some sneaky little expeditions, not quite sure where that is off to. Just checking in case there's any proxy base is one of the things that could have occurred, but not too likely, generally speaking. But Sam just playing it extra safe, extra cautious, making sure it's all good. Coming to check now the third. Only place he hasn't scouted, it's down to the south of the natural, where you can potentially get some of those extra bases out, but now the gateway is just about to complete. Will the Zealot be coming out first? It certainly should be, because you don't really want to skip that when you know there's a good number of Zerglings on the field. But it looks like Sam just going to be playing a balls to the wall mode and keeping... Oh no, there we go, the Zealot is going, and I was going to say, because you scattered that there's no third up there, no third down here either, you definitely want that Zealot out, because your opponent is only on 2 bases, which means most likely they're going to be trying to put some pressure onto you. So this is all looking good for the moment. The Cybernetics core coming down, we've got the 2 gases here in the main base. Up over at Bly's base, he's just happily sitting here on these 2 bases, mining out of the gas. Notice he's got 150 gas, but has not... Oh, sorry, misreading that completely like a noob. Bly just coming up to 100 gas now, so will he start speed straight away, or will he just keep banking it up? Well, it should be speed coming down. 4 Zerglings have managed to make their way into the main base, and they're just going to start harassing this probe line, trying to pick any off, being careful not to get surrounded by any of those probes that get pulled. The Zealot has run back up here, but now with the Mothership core out, these Zerglings are going to have a pretty hard time trying to achieve anything too much. The one thing that they can see is that clearly the Forge is not researching anything. That's quite actually a big indicator that Forge doesn't have anything coming down, because where else is all that gas going? And ooh, a Stargate is queued up. Is Bly going to be able to see that? Yes, I believe he can. He's got it twice. He can see it with that Overlord, and he can also see it with the Zerglings. So good little scout out there. The lair is already on its way down, and now Bly knows that's coming down. He can hopefully get himself in a position to be able to deal with that. So probably getting some Hydras out relatively quickly, or just getting a few Spore Crawlers, maybe a couple of extra Queens. But these Zerglings are still being a right nuisance to San, just making sure that all of the vision is down for Bly. He's just keeping harassing, he's forcing probes to get pulled occasionally, and this is just lost mining time. The odd worker getting killed as well. 4 actually have been taken out this game so far, and considering the Mothership Cores here as well, that's a bit of a pain, you know, because, yeah, if you've got the Mothership Core out, then you want to be able to clean up a couple of Zerglings relatively easily. But all of this has cost Bly getting down this really quick third. Notice that this came down at about 40 seconds ago, so about 6 minutes 50. Really quite late, especially when it was a Forge Fast expansion out of Sans. So Bly's got to make up for that somehow. He's either got to do some damage or deal some good harassment to try and really make it worth his while. But the lair is done. The double evolution chambers are coming down, but no sign yet of the hydrogen. And as I say it, it gets started, because of course if you know that your opponent is getting out Phoenix, they've been seen because they're busy killing Overlords, you want to get down those Hydras. 1, to be able to counteract the Phoenix, but also 2, because if there's a Stargate super early, it means that a robotics facility will be delayed. It's not going to be the first key bit of tech coming out for the Protoss player, and therefore there's not any risk of there being any Colossi anytime soon, and therefore that's the only thing that Hydras can really be threatened by. So these Phoenix have got to be exceptionally careful moving in, but only a single one out on the field at the moment. The second one is making its way in now. A couple of Overlords just floating about, potentially in a bit of a dangerous spot, could get taken out quite quickly actually by these Phoenix if they so chose. But with Overlord speed now down, with the 1-1 upgrades coming out, and of course Hydra speed also on its way, these few little Phoenix do have to be quite cautious. And as really a follow-on from that, San, he's now busy getting down the robotics bay because he knows that the Hydras are there. If we take a look at his vision, he's scouted out, and once he knows it's there, he knows he's got to get that tech switch up, because if he gets out those Colossi before the Spire is done, then there's going to be no Corruptors, no Mutalisks, nothing really to just stop those Colossi marching in and melting all the way through those couple of Hydras relatively painlessly and efficiently, allowing San to get himself into a good spot. Plus, remember, San is at equal workers to Bly. That's a really big thing. The third base only now just starting to come in. These Phoenix doing a good job of trying to pick off some Overlords. Are they going to be able to take it down? They very well may be able to. Yes, they do. And all of the Phoenix still managing to get away. But look at this now from San. He's getting down additional gateways, 5 of them in total being added onto the one already on the field, as well as +1 ground armor, ground weapons on its way. That's up against 1-1 upgrades coming out for Bly, who has got his Spire coming. But notice he does not have a Roach Warren, so he's completely relying currently on Zergling Hydralisk. And even when he gets the Spire out, it's going to be Zergling, Hydra, and either Muta or Corruptor. Much more likely to be Mutalisk, just because, well, it's one of those things. You can try and go for the Corruptors, but it's a bit of a risky move, because if they commit heavily to a ground army, it doesn't always work out for you. But still saying that, Azubu, he does have a couple of Phoenix, so going for those Mutas could be a risky move for him, because, yeah, there's Phoenix out, but there's only 3 being seen. But now, here comes Bly. He's making his way forward. He's got a lot of Zerglings here, but speed has never, ever, ever started. And that, as a result, means that these Zerglings are pretty ineffective against just about everything. 13 Mutas now on their way out, just as I kind of thought they would be. The Spire researching +1 flyer attack. The Zerglings desperately trying to make their way around, trying to find a good little position. We'll find this pylon, and are going to take it down exceptionally quickly. The Zerglings do have +1 carapace, but +1 missile. What? +1 missile attack got cancelled. Okay, that's quite a big thing. The +1 flyer attack, though, taking its place. The first Mutalisks are now popping out. In terms of things to deal with those Mutas, there's just 3 Phoenix. That's not a huge number of them. And now the Mutas are just going to start making their way and focusing down a couple of the Stalkers. The Phoenix taking quite a few volleys, and if they don't kite exceptionally well, they get taken out really fast, as we can see here. Zerglings also trying to make their way through. There goes down a couple more of those Stalkers, and there is the mass recall. San just does not want to try and take that fight. He doesn't feel he can do it. More Mutalisks are still pumping their way out, and in terms of anti-air, well, there really isn't much. Just another Phoenix getting made. They're getting chrono boosted quite quickly. 2 additional Stargates on their way as well. Mass Phoenix is a good answer to a lot of Mutalisks. Of course, they outrange them, and they can kite them incredibly quickly. The Photon Cannon doing some damage. Photon Overcharge also trying to come in there, but now Sentries rapidly getting picked off, pretty much one-shotted by this many Mutalisks, and +1 still even hasn't kicked in yet, so that's another scary thing that San has to try and deal with. Bly taking a 4th base here. The Mutas are going to relentlessly start harassing 4 more Mutas on their way out. We do of course have this Observer just chilling outside the natural. He's just like, yo, what up, I'm an Observer. I like observing things and not getting involved with the main fights, but that's cool because he's doing his job. He's seeing exactly where Bly's army is and what its movements are entailing. The main base potentially looking a little bit vulnerable, and that's why we see these double photon cannons, now triple, quadruple photon cannons coming down. Ooh, this is a big commitment to cannons in the main. Does not want those Mutas coming in, and really doesn't actually want to have to try and defend 2 places at once. So that's all due to the fact that there's not that many Phoenix on the field yet. Only 4 Stalkers and 4 sentries in terms of anti-air. That's not a huge amount. That's up against 19 Mutalisks, but in they come. They're just going to try and focus down the cannon. Realize though that there's a lot of Phoenix there, and that is going to be a good micro-engagement for San. He didn't really lose anything there, and quite a lot of the Mutalisks took a good chunk of damage as well. Zones are starting to transfer up towards this top left base. The Observer just feeling like, you know what, I'm going to come and have a little hunt around. I know there's a base up here, but are there any more anywhere to be found? Because he does find them. That'll be good. A few Corruptors being added in the mix here for Bly too. That's going to allow him to really shut down both the Phoenix and this lone Colossus. The Phoenix though are the big thing. Corruptors very good against them. Phoenix incredibly bad against Corruptors is probably more the point though. They just do not deal hardly any damage to them being armoured, and yeah, Phoenix not great against Corruptors, so that's why we're getting that mixed in. And Bly, he's still going to be benefiting from the fact that +1 air weapons has been researched. +1 air carapace is also on its way down now, but for the moment, Bly, he's achieving what he wants, and that's to contain his opponent on 2 bases while he happily sits up here on 4. Admittedly, he's only mining out of the 7th and 8th gas guys and not using the minerals, but that's because all he needs is a lot of gas right now. He's trying to get up as many Mutas and Corruptors as he possibly can. 3 more Corruptors are about to pop out at the same time though. San getting himself into a decent little position here. His Phoenix count are pretty damn high, 12 of them on the field, and they're going to start really trying to harass into this, but the Corruptors now getting spotted. What is San going to do? Is he going to keep going for it? Is he going to try and pull back? The Observer has got a decent look at everything coming down. A couple of spine crawlers here too. This top left base is unbeknown at the moment to San, and if he doesn't spot that, it could come in to haunt him. But now these Phoenix are going to go head to head with the Corruptors, with the Mutalisks, but now the Mutalisks on their way forward. The Corruptors dealing some nice damage, but the Phoenix retargeting very quickly, and now even though the Colossus is getting so far out of position, it will fall down. So wow, it's just surviving. Literally that Colossus so lucky, 1 HP on it. But still, these Phoenix, they're pushing back most of Bly's army for the time being. Bly is having to retreat. Keeping that Colossus up is really important because it's extra damage against these mass Zerglings that are on their way out at the moment. That could be really helpful. But still, with only a slight amount of shields left, it can get sniped off exceptionally fast. And that is really what Bly needs to do. But he also needs to make sure these Mutalisks stay up in front of the Corruptors, which is not ideal, especially when there are just so many Phoenix here. The Colossus does finally now die. The Spore Crawler, that got taken out as well. The Corruptors trying to pick off the last few Phoenix. The Mutalisks, though, unable to do much at all. They have no answer, and San looking to be really solid here. He's pushing in towards this 3rd base. His entire army is still standing, and Bly is doing nothing but trying to pump out as many Zerglings as he can, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. The 3rd base is now going to get taken out. San sitting at 130 supply to just under 100 of Bly, who just has no answer to this much of an army. There's a good number of sentries still up, a good number of force fields available. Up against these Zerglings, they can just pin them out of position where they can't engage. The Stalkers dealing nice damage. It is 1-0 upgrades up against 1-1, so slight upgrade advantage there for Bly at the moment. But he just can't use it. This tight choke point is not going to be good for the Speedlings, and now this mass force starts running forward, starts dealing all the damage that it needs to. The natural base being sieged here. Things looking so good for San. No response at all from Bly, and now this natural base taking the fire. The Zerglings trying to get surrounds on some of these units. The Corruptors could even start casting some corruption to the extra DPS, but the natural base falling. Even if he was able to get that extra damage down with the Corruptors, I don't think it would be enough at this point. Bly down to 178 supply. Yes, the Zerglings are trying to pick up these reinforcements, but as more Zedids come in here, they are just cleaning it all up ever so nicely. There's the GG, and game number 1 will go to Azubu San. So that was game 1. If you enjoyed it, like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll catch you at game number 2, which you can find on my channel in just 1 second. Catch you there, guys.